Expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Ask the Experts show with local celebrity hosts Steve-O and Renee. Sit back each week while Steve-O and Renee educate you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve-O and Renee with today's expert in their field.
Good afternoon and welcome to another Ask the Experts. We are here today with one of the top HOA condo association law group, not just in South Florida, but I would say throughout Florida. And what's going to be great about this show, it's going to be, because we get all these emails going, how do we know what show you're going to do each week? This show here is going to be the first Monday of each month. So that's going to make it really simple for you. So
4 to 5.
From 4 to 5. And if you would like to watch today's show right now live, you can go to www.kbrlegal, K, B as in boy, R, legal.com, which stands for Kaye Bender Rembaum. How you doing, Renee?
I'm good. How you doing?
Horrible day today. Unbelievably bad today. We have, now they're becoming our good friends now because we're with them now every month. We have Robert Kaye and Michael Bender. So you don't even have to look at their name tags anymore.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Man, we're so glad to have you guys on the show. We actually got a phone call after the show last time wanting to know about your seminars. They said they were in their car. They had no pen. So they knew the phone number here. So, hey, that means we have at least one listener.
Welcome.
It's good having you guys today.
Thank you.
To our new listeners, tell everybody a little background about your law firm.
Well, Kaye Bender
Kaye.
Rembaum, while a full-service law firm, focuses primarily in the area of community association representation, representing condominiums, homeowners associations on all aspects of the needs of the association, from reviewing the documents, enforcing covenants, contract review, construction defect litigation, covenant litigation, collections, foreclosures, any aspects of day-to-day life in community associations.
And what counties do you cover?
We are throughout South Florida, from Martin County down to Monroe County on the East Coast. We get a little bit over into the West Coast, and Mr. Rembaum goes all the way up to Jacksonville.
Wow. So what are some of the common issues? What are the prevalent issues that you typically handle?
Well, there's so many issues that are common to community associations that come across our desks on a daily basis. A lot of the issues that remain ongoing stem from the delinquencies that associations experience for a long time, which is getting better, getting a lot better in most of the communities that we work with. And when I speak with other associations from around the South Florida area, when we're at our seminars or at our workshops, they indicate that that is improving. But you still have issues with delinquent owners and also with bank foreclosures and trying to get abandoned properties or abandoned units to be properly maintained so that the association can be fully functional. Associations function based on the budget that the board creates, which is factored on each owner, each unit, or each parcel paying its portion.
And what happens if they don't pay?
Well,
So
Bills don't get paid.
right.
No, I understand that, but that's not assessed to any other people that live in that community.
Well, it could be. If you have 100 units and you have 10 units that are not paying, then the other 90 units need to pick up the rest of the...
They pick up the slack?
They have to pick up the slack because 100% of the budget has to be covered. And that's where you fall into a bad debt. You have bad debt expense, and so that line item has to be covered, and that's covered by the paying owners. When we work in our firm with our clients on their collections, we take a very aggressive approach to addressing these delinquent owners in order to make sure that the associations are getting 100% cooperation from all of their owners. And when the banks are involved as well, taking an aggressive approach with the banks to make sure that to the extent possible that you get the lenders to move forward with their cases and ultimately get paying owners in their units.
And what happens with foreclosures? Because sometimes, especially now, you see people sitting in their houses for 3 years, and if they're not paying their mortgage, most likely they're not paying the HOA.
Right.
So how do you collect that?
Well, that's not exactly true, your assumption, because we've seen in many instances when people are not paying their mortgage,
They pay
they're
the
getting
HOA?
advice from professionals to pay the HOAs because they want to
okay.
continue to live there. Homeowners associations, condominiums are getting more, have gotten more aggressive in pursuing even when there's a pending lender case. The lender cases are working through the system. There's not the big backlog that we had for several
Right.
years. We're not going to see those 3 years of non-paying people being allowed to stay and use all the resources and just be a drain on the community. I think those days are behind us.
For the most
You
part,
know what?
yes.
I would want you guys to be aggressive if I'm a homeowner there.
Right. If
So I
I'm
don't have to
gonna be
keep paying
assessed.
for other people
Correct.
who aren't paying. So
It's a case-by-case approach because, like Robert mentioned, there are factors to consider with the status of the bank action, the condition of the property. But in general, it is in the best interest of the boards to be taking a proactive and aggressive approach as soon as an owner falls delinquent. We're seeing a lot more. We're seeing more and more because of the approach that we take. A lot more with our boards and educating our boards, and they're turning people over more efficiently. More and more people are only maybe falling behind a month or two, and then they're getting caught up again because they're getting letters and they're moving forward. They don't want to get a lien, or if they get lien, they don't want to go into foreclosure. So we're starting to see a lot more owners being responsive, and I think that is part and parcel of boards taking good advice, which is taking a more aggressive approach, and then of course our firm taking an equally aggressive approach as soon as these files are referred to us.
do you have clients that you actually sit down with every month and go over things that are going on within the association? Or is it just kind of as they need you when you sit down with them?
I think mostly it's as they need, which can be on a monthly basis, but it will vary by association, what's going on within the community.
And I want them like right by my side all the time. You know?
Well, basically they are, though.
We are
If they
very
have a
habit
problem.
forming.
Absolutely. And what's great about your firm, this is not just something you do on a part-time basis. You don't have a boutique, you don't do criminal or family. This is all your firm does.
That's correct.
For the most part, yes.
Okay. Now he's going to throw in, oh yeah, did I tell you we also do immigration law too?
Well, we actually do probate work,
We do some probate.
which is a lot of our client homeowners do have a need for that. The members of the board often find themselves needing those types of services.
We've done some general real estate work, and we do have a title company to do title work.
Yeah, that I could definitely understand you doing is real estate work. Let's give everybody your phone number first of all.
The 800 number is 1-800-974-0680. You can reach the Pompano Beach office directly at 954-928-0680, and our Palm Beach Gardens office on North Military Trail at 561-241-4462.
Okay, and let's give out our phone number here in the studio if you have a question for either attorney. The phone number here is 888-565-1470.
My favorite question. This is my favorite part of the show, asking this question. We have so many homeowners, condo owners who listen to the show. Tell everybody, you can be humble now, why they should hire your firm, why they need a firm like yours when there's an association involved.
The primary reason to hire our firm is the level of experience that we have in the area of community association law. I myself have been practicing almost exclusively in that area since 1988, and there's very little that happens in community associations that we haven't seen. So we are well versed in the area. We're constantly keeping up to date with changes in the legislation. We also participate in the legislative process. Michael can.
Do the
certainly
laws
speak
change
to
a
that.
lot?
Well, the laws tend to change yearly, but
Some of them,
I would
anyway.
say, before segueing to that, I think, and piggybacking off of what Robert was saying about the firm, in addition to our experience, is the customer service aspect that we bring to the table.
I was
And
getting
think-
to that.
And I think that's something that I know is Robert and I have worked together now, almost 14 years, and it's something that we've prided ourselves on from day one, and it's something we instill in all of our attorneys and our staff is the importance of giving top-notch customer service. So you give we're providing excellent information, education. We're giving good legal advice, but also we're accessible and we're responsive. And it's one of the biggest complaints I hear from people who come to us, either come looking for counsel or at our seminars or our expos or workshops, just that they're frustrated with vendors in general and with their lawyers specifically. And so we let our team know that, like any other vendor, customer service is of prime importance. And I do think that separates us.
And in addition to the timeliness of the responses, that we strive to make them understandable so that you don't have to hire a lawyer to figure out what your lawyer wrote to you.
We already have our first phone call.
Okay, so who do we have?
We have on the line Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. Do you have a question for our attorneys?
I do. First of all, I have to tell you that every time they've been on so far, I found them to be fabulous. It's just such a
Thank you.
enormous amount of information. It was just so interesting listening to the two of you. And I appreciate it because I myself live in a townhouse and I have an HOA. So it was so interesting to me. That's number one. I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you.
But my question is that our HOA is responsible for supposedly the exterior of our townhouse, meaning the roof. I know when we got hit with Hurricane Wilma, they fixed the roof. It was their responsibility. And my question is, if they are also responsible for the roof, would that include the gutters also? Because we recently had a problem that we ended up having to fix ourselves. So just wanted your opinion about that. Is it something that's in the bylaws, or is it something that...
Hi, Andrea. It's Mike. Thank you for the nice words, and we appreciate you listening and glad that we can bring good information. That's why we're here. With regard to your question, you are right on point. Whether the association or the owner is going to be responsible for the gutters or any other portion of the roof other than the roof would be dictated by your declaration of covenants.
Okay, so in other words, in layman's terms, when we first purchased our home, they actually hand out the laws and, I guess the bylaws. So that's something that would be included in the bylaws?
Yes.
Right. When you took title, hopefully you got a set of governing documents. And you said, what is the name of your community, if you don't mind my asking?
If you don't mind saying.
Creek.
Pardon?
Eagle Creek. No, I don't mind telling you at all.
Eagle Creek.
Okay. So Eagle Creek would have, the governing documents for Eagle Creek will have a declaration of covenants or restrictions. Then it'll have articles of incorporation, and it'll have a set of bylaws. And your declaration of covenants will govern essentially how you live in the community and how the community is set up. It's your constitution, your Bill of Rights, if you will. The articles of incorporation and bylaws create the actual corporate entity, the association, and set up how it's governed, size of the board of directors, your meeting notice and quorum requirements and things of that nature. That's in general. And then there might be some house rules or community rules and regulations which supplement those documents.
And almost all of that should be in the public record. If you don't have a copy, you should be able to get it through a record search.
Oh, really? Okay. One of the public record searches?
Within the county that your property is located.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's helpful. I'm sure we do have it also. I have all of our paperwork together. But when they say the exterior, they also paint the exterior. So,
well, HOAs are definitely document specific. Condominium would be more likely the association's responsibility, as it's a common element. The association tends to handle those things. But in a townhome, you have a little bit more of an unusual set of circumstances, and some create it that makes sense, some create it that don't.
Right.
Okay. And would you mind if I ask you a second question?
Not at all.
Okay. Because we've also, in our development, we live on a canal. We've had a very bad year with ticks and fleas. There's a lot of dog owners that live here, too. And although we do treat our pets, are they responsible for having an exterminator for the outside? It's not my property. It's actually owned by the city of Coral Springs.
Well, if it's not association property that you're referring to, then the association in all likelihood would not be authorized to expend your money and those of your neighbors to treat that property. there are documents that do provide authority for associations to take on some maintenance of adjoining property that isn't part of the community, but most often you don't see that. This is, again, unfortunately for you, a document-specific issue, so you'll have to look for pest control requirements within the documents.
Or maybe call the city of Coral Springs.
Well, they actually are in charge.
luck.
I mean, they do have lawn maintenance. They do take care of the lawn maintenance outside of our property, too. It's not my property, but it's actually the property that they built the townhouses on. So, maybe I'm assuming incorrectly, but I'm assuming if they're also, our maintenance includes lawn care in the pool. So I was just assuming that if they're also mowing the lawns, and this is set up by the association, the landscaping company, that I'm assuming that they should be responsible for that as well. Am I wrong to assume that?
Generally speaking, the way association law works on expenditures is that a homeowner association may spend the common funds on those items that are specified in the governing documents as common to everyone. Oftentimes, the documents are written more generally, and very often they're more specific. So it would take some interpretation of your documents to see if pest control extends to the maintenance requirements of the association. Sometimes the board can use its best business judgment to make the determination if that is an appropriate association expense. Unfortunately, we need your documents that we don't have.
Okay. I was just curious because we also do happen to live on a canal, and we've actually had issues, and not just myself, but some of our neighbors with rodents too.
Well, one of the most important things for you to do as a homeowner is to notify the board in writing of the things that you see within the community that need to be addressed by the association. It's a good idea to send it to the association by certified mail, and if you do, also by regular mail is recommended. You can email if the board uses email, but generally speaking, the U.S. Postal Service is the appropriate method to communicate.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Thank
we're going
you
to
so
go
much
to
for
break.
your
We'll be right back.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with Kaye Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, Kaye Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert Kaye, Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, Kaye Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
And we're back. So let's discuss your town hall meetings. They're actually free town hall meetings.
Okay. Well, we actually were pleased. We had our first free town hall meeting in Tamarack, which was a couple of weeks ago.
How was that?
And it went very well.
Good.
It was it's our seventh year doing these town hall meetings.
Wow.
And they are set up in a format where it's open to the public, and they are board members and managers and interested residents of community associations come out. And it's 2.5 hours that we're talking about topics of interest to the audience members. There are questions submitted in advance, and then we take topics from the audience as we go on. And we had in excess of about 50 residents in Tamarack who came to the town hall seminar, which we were very pleased to see.
It's
and
a nice turnout, yes.
It was nice. And more importantly, it was a very active group, great questions, got to hit a lot of subject matter. And we're excited that to get started that way. We have our next free town hall seminar will be Wednesday, I believe, Wednesday, December 10th at the Emma Lou Olson Center in Pompano Beach, and that's from 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning.
Okay.
That is a morning program, 9:30 to 11:30 on Wednesday the 10th at the Emma Lou Olson in Pompano Beach. And then we do have a couple already set up in January and one in February. January 13th of next year, of 2015 already, I guess. Art Serve on 1350 East Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. And on January 27th at the Nob Hill Clubhouse, which is on Sunset Strip out in Sunrise. Both of those are evening programs from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And we do have a program February 11th in Delray Beach at the South County Civic Center. That is a morning program from 9:30 to 11:30. That's on 16700 Jog Road. All of those are on our website, kbrlegal.com. And we have more programs that will be coming up in February and March and possibly early April throughout the Tri-County area. So we encourage everyone to go to our website or send an email to info@kbrlegal.com, and we'd be happy to add your name to our email list.
You know, we keep talking about these town hall meetings. So you're given a list of questions at these meetings from people in the
Sometimes.
audience. Can you tell us some of the questions that come up? Are they usually the same at
A lot of
each
times they are.
Okay.
They do cross the gamut, though. They ask questions about who's responsible to maintain certain things, reviewing applications for sale and lease, service animals. Service animals is a very popular question that comes up most every time. Foreclosures, of course, is one that's been fairly steady through the years.
Yeah, we also, the question that comes up a lot is unauthorized occupants, how to deal with, like I said, properties that seemingly were abandoned. Then how do we deal with unauthorized occupants, people who are claiming to be guests or not guests, and also leaks, especially in the condominium setting.
Problems with the board, not following proper procedures.
Allegedly.
Claiming presidents running amok and taking the association to strange places.
Did you see where the city of Boca might be? I don't know if this would pertain to any of the associations all, but they're trying to change the law now about people who get rowdy, which, I mean, we live in a beautiful neighborhood, and we have some rowdy neighbors.
I believe they're focusing on rentals.
Rentals only? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why don't you give out the phone number if somebody else wants to call to...
If you have a question for our lawyers today, you can call us at 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. And while we're giving out phone numbers, let's give out your phone number to your office again.
Sure. The 800 number, which reaches our Pompano Beach or Palm Beach Gardens office, is 1-800-974-0680. Directly to Palm Beach is 561-241-4462, and to Pompano is 954-928-0680.
And I also want to remind you, if you would like to watch this show live or go back later to play it back, it's www.kbrlegal.com. And tell us why these town hall meetings are so valuable for homeowners or board members or property managers.
It's an opportunity to obtain a lot of good education, free good education, on a variety of subject matters, which, like I said, it's not a set agenda. As Robert mentioned, there are topics that come up quite frequently. But we have some people who will attend several of the different town halls, and they'll pick up different information at each one. It's just a great opportunity to get free legal advice, if you will, or free education on a variety of topics that are germane to communities today. And you're sitting in an audience where if you have an issue, whether it's obviously specific issues are a little bit harder to deal with, like we had with the caller, we don't have their documents there, but we'll take a specific issue and we'll turn it into a more general topic. And then you'll see a flow of questions that stem from that. And then there's always...
So it is question answer format.
Absolutely.
Because you said something initially about submitting a question in advance.
Right. Well, because we want to make sure that those in attendance are getting the subject matters that they want to have discussed.
Okay, so you have to register for the meetings.
Thank
We
you.
ask for
we
that.
do ask that you register for the meetings because we do serve some food and we'd like to know the numbers. So you have,
And that's free as well.
of course it is. Yep, food and drink.
Magic word.
Right. So in order to obviously properly prepare for that, we ask that you RSVP in advance. If you forget to, that you certainly can come. Where we will find locations that will allow us to sit in excess of 100 people. And while we've had a few that have exceeded 100, usually we'll have room. It won't be standing room only.
And that's not an obligation. So if you register, you're not obligated. What I'm saying is some people feel if they just want to just show up. You could show up or register.
Right. Well, if you register, we'd like you to come.
Yes.
But so
I'm just saying.
So, but if you forget to register or you hear about it and you haven't had an opportunity to register, please do come anyway. You don't have to be registered in advance. You can sign in at the door. There is no cover charge to get in if you haven't registered. It's still free.
Perfect. So you have one coming up on December 10th, which is next week.
Next Wednesday morning
In Pompano
Beach at the Emmylou Olson Center. Yes.
So what are the topics that are going to be discussed at that town hall meeting?
Well, that remains to be seen. But if you're
That's up
asking
to
me
whoever
for,
comes.
right, if you're
Okay.
asking us to predict, I would guess fair housing. I would guess bank foreclosures. I would guess dealing with problem tenants or or unauthorized occupants. I would guess insurance versus maintenance.
Service animals.
That's the
I know
That's
that's a
under
big-
fair
yes.
housing, yes.
So, but again, we ask people, they will submit questions, which we'll generally get we'll take them up to the day of, or the night before in this case. And then we bring them there and we'll hit those questions. And like I said, in between, we'll say, does anyone have a topic from the floor? And you'll have people raise their hand and they'll bring up a topic. Sometimes it's a general topic, sometimes it's more specific. But it does allow us to really address the issues that are germane to those in the audience.
I want to get back to customer service because, see, Robert's even smiling. That's a magic word at Kaye Bender Rembaum. Tell us, again, because we started talking about before, why your firm is different, especially when it comes to customer service.
Well, all of our staff are specifically trained and instructed to be responsive to our clients that call in, that send emails. We get a lot of emails, as you can imagine. And when you contact your attorney, you don't want to have to wait for your answer. You have an issue that you need responded to right away. And it's always been our policy to return calls the same day we get them, if not to respond and to just acknowledge that they have an issue that we'll get back to them, if not that day, the next day. And the same with the emails. The clients appreciate knowing that their attorney is responding to them quickly and efficiently and responsively.
Do you ever talk to state representatives about changing certain laws that you just don't feel? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense at all.
We do participate actively in the legislative side of things. I serve on CAI, Community Association Institute, which is a national organization that has 8 Florida chapters, and we're members of both the Gold Coast, which is the Palm Beach area, and the Southeast Florida, which is Broward and Miami-Dade. And I've been on the board actually for a lot of years. In fact, I'm stepping off at the end of this year. I'm term limited out for a year. But I continue to serve as one of the representatives for the Florida Legislative Alliance, which is the legislative action committee of CAI, and we are very active in conjunction with a lot of these other groups who have lobbyists up in Tallahassee and working with our legislators to get good legislation passed and try to preclude what we would consider to be poor legislation or legislation that would negatively affect community associations from being passed.
You see any laws that you would like to see get changed in the future? A list?
Very, very many, yes.
Yes.
What's number one?
Well, I think there are a lot of 1A, but we continue to try, even as the economy has improved and we do see the collections side improving for the people paying more, we still have issues with how the associations are going to be paid after a lender takes title or if a third party takes title. And I would like to see further relief granted to associations, especially when you have properties that have been abandoned for years and are in a condition where the associations really can't, the boards really shouldn't, I shouldn't say, they shouldn't leave them in the condition that they are. They should, which requires them to invest some association funds into cleaning them up, even if it's just to preserve the asset for the bank. In my opinion, the bank should be responsible for reimbursing. Now, the bank doesn't have title to the property until they actually complete a foreclosure, have a sale, and take title. So that's the catch-22 right now, because while the bank doesn't have title, technically they're not responsible. But whose asset is being preserved? It's not the association's asset, it's the bank's asset. They're the ones with the mortgage, the note on there. So I think that there should be some reasonable method of being able to, for the association to recoup reasonable expenses it incurs in order to preserve the asset. And we're working on things like that. But
and there's a sub-issue to that. A couple of years ago, there was a situation. Obviously, we all know that associations got more aggressive in the foreclosure, were taking title to properties with lender foreclosures pending. Sometime later, the lenders actually finished their foreclosures, and in many instances, they were purchased by a third party at the lender foreclosure sale. There was a little glitch in the law as it came about that allowed these third-party purchasers to take advantage of their status from a lender foreclosure sale and the association's prior ownership of the property, which basically wiped out the association's position. So when this was a court decision initially that came out of the 3rd District. And when that decision came down, what ultimately happened is the associations have very limited rights in what they can do when units are delinquent, and that's to lien and foreclose them. So by exercising the limited right that the legislation gives to associations, this decision, in essence, punished them by saying, now you get nothing for your efforts. There's been some relief in the legislation by identifying assessments that had accrued prior to the association taking title as still being due and owing in both the homeowner and the condominium setting. But usually there are significant expenditures in getting to that point in legal fees and late fees and interest and things of that nature that are not being compensated to associations. So associations are still taking it on the chin for exercising the only right they have in being able to pursue delinquent owners. So that would be something to fix.
We're going to go to break. We're at the bottom half of the hour. We're going to go to break, and we come back. We're going to give everybody the dates again, because they're very important dates that are coming up. And you can call us at 888-565-1470. We've got 2 of the top attorneys when it comes to association law. They can't say this. We can. We're not governed by anybody. These guys are the best, though, without a doubt. We will be right back.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with Kaye Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, Kaye Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert Kaye, Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, Kaye Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size, and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
Hi, I'm Steve-O with the Ask the Experts radio show. Join my co-host Renee and I every Friday as we interview some of the most prominent professionals in Palm Beach and Broward County. Each week we combine educational information on a variety of topics with a touch of humor and entertainment in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement so you can be more informed. We offer interviews on such topics as family law, foreclosure defense, estate planning, sleep apnea, roof repair, funeral pre-needs, mold and mildew, alcoholism addiction, and even a show that teaches you how to buy a new and used car from one of the top dealerships in South Florida. If you have a business and would like to be part of the Ask the Expert show, contact us at 954-336-3767. Position your company as an expert in your field. call Ask the Experts radio show at 954-336-3767. Be sure to catch our show every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. or watch our show live at wwnnradio.com and click on the WWNN TV link. And we're back. We have in studio the senior partners of Kaye, Bender, and Rembaum. We have Michael Bender and Robert Kaye. We also have a caller on the phone, too.
Okay, so who do we have?
We have Grant. Hey, Grant.
Doing?
We're doing fine. Got a question for our guest?
Love the show, first of all.
Thank you.
It's my nephew. I just paid send him a check. Thanks, buddy. What's your question?
Appreciate it. I had a question about HOAs.
Okay.
What's the
Why are
question?
they so strict on colors of stains, little knick-knack stuff? Why are they so particular on stuff like that?
Meaning what?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
Okay, like when you're saying, why are the associations so strict on what now?
They're strict on the type of trees you have in your yard, the color fence you have for your stain. Why are they so particular on little knick-knack stuff on that? Don't they have more important things to do?
Okay.
As a general rule, I don't know that you can say that they're all so strict. Where you live may be stricter than others. I know Renee had an issue with her mailbox for a while, but
And the weeds in the driveway, yes.
But basically, associations are enforcing the restrictions that are in their recorded covenants first and foremost, and any rules that the board may have adopted through the years that are consistent with those documents. So that sets the standards that they're required to enforce. What might also contribute to the need for them being strict about it is there's a area in the law that provides if the association does not uniformly maintain its covenants against everybody the same, then they lose the ability to enforce them against everybody, which tends to take away the purpose of the association's existence, which is to keep the communities and what they consider to be nice.
So they can tell you, like, what kind of trees?
It could be if it's in documents.
The color of the fence?
Yep. Grant, also, while I respect the position that you're seeming to be taking, a lot of people, when they moved into the community, did so with the understanding that it would be kept to a certain standard, and if the board failed to meet that standard, and they could be considered having been in breach of their own fiduciary obligation, and that could lead to trouble for the association. So the board members have that obligation when they take on that volunteer role of uniformly enforcing those documents. If the membership is opposed to certain restrictions, then they can bring it to the attention of the board and ask that the restrictions be modified or somehow lessened, or put a new board in who will work with them on that.
They didn't like the color. They didn't like the color of brown on my fence stain. They left notices saying it had to be changed within 30 days because they didn't like the color brown of my stain.
Do they have a color code?
They do. I went around taking pictures of the exact same color and said, hey, half the neighborhood has the same exact color. What's the deal here? And they kind of backed off it.
That also works to your benefit, Grant, because there's another provision in the law that requires the association to uniformly apply the standards and not act in a selective fashion. You have what's called a defense of selective enforcement. If the association treats you differently than they do others, and you rely on the fact that others have that same color, you will have a legal defense if they pursue you legally if you fail to meet the color that they want.
Are you new? Is this your first time being part of an association?
It is. It is.
Okay.
I read the manual pretty clearly, and they're just a little strict. I felt like I was being singled out. And when I went to contact someone, it's all through third party. You cannot talk to anyone with the HOA, it seems like.
Do the board have meetings on a regular basis that you could go to?
They do, but they're during work hours, so it's pretty inconvenient.
Well, again, you might want to also send a certified letter to the association that you at least have documentation of your concern. if you cannot attend a board meeting, and request that somebody speak to you from among the board members.
Does that help?
That's a great idea.
Okay, bud. Hey, thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling in.
Thanks,
So
Grant.
much, guys. I appreciate it.
Good. Hey, I want to go back to all the different
Seminars.
seminars.
Thanks. So tell us about the Fair Housing Act seminars that you have coming up.
Great, sure. Each month we have been putting on, in both the Palm Beach Gardens and the Pompano Beach office, a 1-hour program. It tends to run more like 90 minutes.
I'm sure.
On fair housing, and the subset is assistance animal or pet. And it's basically an hour and a half of discussing how to address request for a reasonable accommodation where you have a community that either is prohibits pets or has restrictions on pets, and an individual with a disability desires to have an accommodation to that restriction or prohibition and have an animal which is considered an assistance animal, or that's the fair housing term. People know them more as support animals or companion animals, things of that nature. And that is in our Pompano office. The next class is December 9th, and that's 6:45 to 7:45 p.m. And in our Palm Beach Gardens office, it's December 18th, and that's from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And if you're interested in attending either the Palm Beach Gardens or the Pompano Beach, you can contact the respective offices. Pompano Beach, 954-928-0680. Palm Beach Gardens, 561-241-4462. Or you can send an email to info@kbrlegal.com and indicate your name, the name of your association, and contact information for you, and whether you want to, what date you want to attend, December 9th in Pompano Beach or December 18th in Palm Beach Gardens. They are going on into January and February of next year. Again, go to our website, KBR Legal. You've trained me well.
I have. I see that.
KBRlegal.com, and you can get all that information.
So what's the difference between a service animal and assistance animal?
Well, because I can talk easily for the next 2 hours on this, but I'll give you a quick one.
Oh, we won't.
No, we will not. Service animals are under ADA, the American with Disabilities Act, talks about, it deals with places of public accommodation, which when we're talking about the condominium or the HOA setting or even the cooperative setting, it's primarily residential. So ADA doesn't apply. It's fair housing that applies. So under fair housing, you're talking about assistance animals. Under ADA, you're talking service animals. Service animals under ADA have to have certification and training and are dogs, exclusively dogs. Whereas under assistance animals under fair housing don't need any specific training, don't need any specific certification, and can be not only a dog, but can be a cat, potbelly pig,
Basically
I think
a companion.
Pony. A companion, it's a reasonable accommodation. So there has to be a reasonable nexus between the animal you're looking for and the major life benefit that it's going to offer.
Okay, so how prevalent are these issues? Because we talk about this over and over, and it seems like it's a huge issue.
Well, I think they do come up in just about any community that has pet restrictions or pet prohibitions has this issue,
Especially senior communities.
right? And so you have 10,000 plus communities here, and I imagine a substantial number of them have some kind of restriction on pets. Even if you allow pets, but you say no pet over 25 pounds. Well, if an individual who's got a qualified disability brings a 100-pound dog in, and it is a qualified assistance animal, you cannot preclude it from being in your community, even though you
So
have a
that's
25
allowable.
pound. That would be allowable. And again, I'm giving you the abbreviated version. Come to the class. Get the more details on that.
It would also hold true as to a limitation on the number of pets you can have,
Right.
because a support animal is not considered a pet. So if your documents limit the number of pets you can have, then you can have that many pets and an additional or multiple support animals.
Do you teach the associations how to handle these applications?
We do. We go over a lot of detail on how to address them and how not to address them, which is actually equally as important. And we make recommendations. And I'll give you a quick one to anyone listening. If you don't already have a written policy in place on how to address a request for a reasonable accommodation, we work with our clients on putting together a packet that they can give to anyone who makes a request which will then, when filled out completely, help eliminate a lot of the questions as to whether they've qualified or not, and also then meets the fiduciary obligation that that board has, because there are going to be owners who are moved into that community because there would be no pets. And when that animal comes in, they are going to be very upset with the board, and so the board at least is covering itself by doing its due diligence.
Your father lives in a no-pet community. I mean, it's a big sign as soon as you pull in, no pets allowed.
You can't even go in the community with a pet in your car.
Is that right?
Yes.
So,
but there are pets there.
They're not pets.
Right. There are service animals.
They're assistance animals.
Assistance animals.
Right. They might be pets, but they were passed off as assistance animals.
Exactly.
Because while there are a lot of valid requests for this accommodation, unfortunately it is what we've seen, not just us, I think what's been seen is nationwide, in fact, that this is a very abused area of the law, where people are coming, there are medical providers who have a form letter that they will give to people for a certain, a certain fee.
You can buy what do you call them, the jackets, the vest.
Right. But that doesn't matter. Now. Remember, that doesn't matter for the assistance animal. That's for the ADA service animal. But the assistance animal doesn't need to have anything in particular as far as vests or...
Just another thing to have to try to oversee. That's amazing.
Well, the unfortunate part is the level of abuse that has occurred over the past several years with people who are taking this approach when really they don't need it.
I totally agree.
Well, basically, if you move into a development, you know that they say no pets, and then all of a sudden you're living there, you make a decision, oh, now I want a pet.
Yes.
So, and that's basically what's happening now.
And there's been court cases where somebody had a pet and then was told you can't have the pet, and suddenly they developed an issue where they needed an emotional support animal, and the court said that was phony.
You know, we had a call last time right after the show. I was trying to think what that call was. I just remembered what it was. Somebody wanted to know what they can do. They're handicapped, and they didn't feel like there was enough handicap parking. Is there anything that can be done about that?
Well, residential communities don't fall under the same requirements as public places when it comes to handicap parking. Handicap parking in a residential is generally more for guests than it is for residents. Residents have their assigned parking place. But if an owner needs a special accommodation for their parking issues, then they would make a request for a reasonable accommodation under the Fair Housing Act.
And much like the pet.
They do that themselves, though.
They do it themselves, and if it can be worked out where either an existing handicap spot or they can convert an existing spot into a handicap spot that might be in a closer place with a trade-off giving back their assigned parking space, if it can be done. What's required under the law is a reasonable accommodation where the circumstances allow for it, and not every circumstance does allow for it. Recent case law has held that just because you've made the request doesn't mean you're entitled to what you're asking for.
Okay, let's talk about the free certification courses. I know that you're going to be offering those as well for
yes,
board
we
members.
are.
So let's discuss those. Why don't you give dates and times for those as well?
Well, again, board member certification is a requirement in the state of Florida for all board members, whether you're a board member in an HOA, condominium, or a cooperative. And there are two methods of getting your certification. The first method would be to fill out a certificate that is a form created by the state that essentially says that you've read your documents and you promise to uphold them and meet your fiduciary obligation. And you sign that and you have it on file and you've met your certification obligation. The other is to get education by a division-approved instructor. We happen to be a division-approved instructor, and even if you fill out that certificate, that first method, I strongly urge all board members, especially new board members, to take board member education. It's 2 hours, and we provide it in our offices, the Palm Beach Gardens and the Pompano office. Currently, they are given each month. In Pompano, we actually will have our condominium board member education course tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8:30. And then the HOA class will be on Tuesday, December 16th, 2 weeks from tomorrow, again, 6:30 to 8:30. So the condominium and the HOA are December 2nd and December 16th in Pompano. Palm Beach Gardens, The HOA class is December 9th, a week from tomorrow. And then the condominium board class is December 16th. And those start at 6 o'clock, 6 to 8:30 in Palm Beach Gardens on North Military Trail. Again, go to our website or contact the office 800-974-0680 or info@kbrlegal.com. Your name, your association, whether it's condominium or HOA class that you're interested in, and whether it's Pompano or Palm Beach Gardens, and we'll get you registered. We do ask you RSVP. They are free. There will be light snacks as well, so that is free, and we like to know our numbers. And seating is limited, as these are held in our offices. So it is a first come, first serve on those. And if we do fill up, we will ask you to wait list, and then we move you to the next month. As like I said, because we will hold them again in January and then February and so on.
So what role does this play in educating the board members?
Oh, again, well, it's the ABCs of being a board member.
I know that they have to be certified.
Right, but the courses themselves, the reason why I encourage the education, whether you sign a certificate or not, get out and get education, and I think get education from us, because there's 8 different areas that the state wants to made a part of the course. And I believe the state says if you teach 4 of them, that's qualifies. So we don't stop at 4. We teach all 8 areas: operations, finance, covenant enforcement, contracts, just the elections, the whole gamut. It really goes over, and it's not intricate, it's not in depth. Sometimes questions come because there's questions and answers time as well, and some of the questions that we'll get into a little bit more depth. But it's the ABCs, it's the foundation that you need to be a good board member, so that you have an idea of what your role is, what the role of your management team is if you have one, and the role of your experts, your counsel, etc. And managers who want to attend any of the courses, by the way, the board member education for condominium, HOA, or the fair housing class, they're all certified courses for the state for managers to get continuing education. So if a manager wants to attend, they can also call our RSVP, give us your CAM number, and you get 2 credits for the board member education or 1 credit for the fair housing class.
And we also have handouts that we have outlining the areas that we're talking about, so that people can take them home. They're not expected to memorize everything from a lecture format, so that will help them in.
So this is board members, property managers. Mm-hmm. Can homeowners come to this?
Sure.
Anybody can come.
I mean, but they don't need to be certified.
No, they don't need to be certified.
Well, if they're thinking of getting on the board within the next year, it does cover them.
Right, because under the law, if you take the board member education class from a division-approved provider, and it's valid for 1 year. So if you take the class today and your get on the board next November of 2015, you can already your certificate would qualify you. Okay. Cover you. Okay. As opposed to that certificate that you have to sign, that can only be signed within 90 days after you're elected or appointed. The board member education you can take a year before or 90 days after.
Up to, yes.
Or these board elections, I was actually involved in a very big property, high-end property in Boca. It's actually half Boca, half Delray. It's really strange there. It's amazing what these people do who are running. I mean, it's like a national election, what they go through.
Some of them, yeah.
It's amazing. Yes. I want to go back over the town hall meetings, all that are coming up, the dates and the times, before we come to an end.
It's on that paper there.
Oh, he's got it.
It's on your placeholder. Next Wednesday, December 10th, we'll be at the Emma Lou Olson Center in Pompano Beach from 9:30 to 11:30. January 13th of 2015, we'll be at the Art Serve, 1350 East Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. January 27th of 2015, we'll be at the Nob Hill Clubhouse on Sunset Strip in Sunrise, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. February 11th of 2015, we'll be at the South County Civic Center, which is 16700 Jog Road, Delray Beach. That's 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning. So Pompano Beach and Delray Beach are morning seminars, and the Art Serve in Fort Lauderdale, the Nob Hill Clubhouse and Sunrise are evening, and those are all free. They're all going to be on our website. You can go to our website at kbrlegal.com and review all that. We ask you RSVP, the information's on there. And if you would just like to have your names added to our email list to get these invitations to our different seminars, workshops, and articles. We do legal morsels on our website. Periodically, we'll do articles that just some education on either new case law or just different aspects, reserves or elections or access to property, that kind of thing. And we will email blast those out as just free education. So if you want to just get on our email list, board members or managers or interested owners, just email us at info@kbrlegal.com and ask to be put on our list.
And even if they have an attorney and they have a question, they could call them.
Yeah, I think we asked on one of our first shows that if you have counsel representing you, you can actually go to a different counsel if you want.
Well, legal representation is not exclusive, so an association can have several attorneys if they so choose.
Because we actually had a phone call. And I want to say something because I'm always scouting out our competition. There's other stations out there, and I actually heard one of them bragging how they did some kind of a seminar. They had 15 people there. Here, you guys had 50 people, so that's really good. Give everybody your phone number again.
Hey, the 800 number is 1-800-974-0680. Or you can dial direct to Pompano at 954-928-0680. Or Palm Beach Gardens at 561-241-4462. KBRlegal.com.
And I want to go over
is the
one more
website.
time, one more before we leave. Yes. Tell the different areas of HOA and association community that you handle.
Well, it's across the board, everything that could come up in governing a community association, reviewing documents, providing opinions as to the rights and obligations of the owners and the association, enforcing provisions, sending letters to violators, further legal action against violators, negotiations and resolving issues, contract negotiation, dealing with contract breaches, legal action as it relates to that. Anything probate related, we can assist owners with respect to that. Construction defects that may occur both in the buildings that existed when you acquired the ownership, or if you have a contractor that did some work that has a defect in that, we can assist with that as well.
Did you say interpreting documents and
interpreting documents, amending the documents,
contract preparation, all of it,
collecting delinquent assessments.
The name of the firm is Kaye Bender Rembaum,
and they're going to be with us the first
Monday
of every month.
And we thank you for joining us today. We will be back on Friday with more Ask the Experts. Join us then. Everybody have a wonderful week. Without you, there is no us.
Bye-bye.
Guys.
Peace and love. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show with Steve-O and Renee. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those